Welcome to today's Explainer. We're tackling a topic that literally every product team experiences, but honestly, very few have actually mastered: OKRs. For a lot of teams out there, they just feel like this massive, looming administrative burden. But based on the insights we're exploring today, we're going to see how elite teams are totally flipping the script and turning OKRs from a tedious chore into an absolute velocity engine. I want you to seriously ask yourself right now, are your current OKRs actually slowing your team down? It's kind of a provocative thought, right? Because most of us just naturally assume that goal setting automatically creates alignment and speed. But what if your current setup is secretly destroying your team's autonomy and totally bogging down your execution? Well, we're going to unpack exactly why that happens and, more importantly, how to fix it. So here's our roadmap for today. We'll start with the feature factory trap, then move into the power of defining no and the 70-30 rule. After that, we'll cover the shipping first feedback loop, and finally wrap up with moving from output to impact. Let's get right into it. Okay, section 1, the feature factory trap. This is arguably the most common and honestly the most painful trap that product teams fall into today. The feature factory happens when teams treat OKRs as just a glorified to-do list. When you define an OKR simply as launch feature X, you aren't really setting a strategy at all, are you? You're just managing an output. And focusing on shipping specific features rather than actually solving customer problems, that inevitably leads to massive feature bloat. And what happens then? Your highly skilled engineering resources are completely squandered on low-impact work that basically never moves the needle. By dictating the how instead of the what, you strip your team of the autonomy they need to actually innovate. You essentially turn your absolute best problem solvers into mere ticket takers. Which brings us nicely to section 2, the power of defining no. Let's see how elite teams completely flip the script by embracing constraint-based autonomy. The power of an OKR lies in what it gives you permission to ignore. I absolutely love that framing. Elite product teams use OKRs as a strategic constraint. As Specky.space highlights, lightweight tracking and crystal clear alignment allow teams to build a negative space map. Think about that for a second. It's a map of what not to do. By explicitly defining what you will not work on, you instantly eliminate the cognitive load and that endless, exhausting meeting fatigue associated with deliberating over the roadmap. Let's actually look at this concept in practice. Contrast a task OKR, like simply launching feature X, with a strategic OKR, like improving trial to paid conversion by 10%. When every single member of a team completely understands that the ultimate objective is conversion, the magic really happens. Any feature request, no matter how exciting it sounds or, who it comes from, is automatically deprioritized if it doesn't directly serve that specific 10% conversion goal. It acts as a shield, completely protecting your team's focus. All right, section 3, the 70-30 rule. So, if we have these strategic constraints in place, how do we actually allocate our capacity to execute on them? The 70-30 rule is a brilliant framework utilized by high-performing organizations like Google and Notion. Here's how the breakdown looks. 70% of your team's capacity is allocated strictly to direct OKR-related initiatives. But crucially, that remaining 30% is rigorously protected for infrastructure, tech debt, and team maintenance. Now, you might be thinking, well, if we just ignore that 30% and pour everything into new features, we'll obviously go way faster, right? Actually, no. The source data shows the exact opposite. Ignoring that 30% creates a crushing, compounding interest of technical issues that will eventually and inevitably stall your entire pipeline. And the impact of respecting that balance? It's massive. Organizations that align these OKRs with automated CI/CD pipelines, so continuous integration and continuous deployment, see a 20 to 30% reduction in lead time for changes. This absolutely proves that structural alignment isn't just some fluffy management theory. It is a hard technical lever for pure speed. That perfectly sets up section 4, the shipping first feedback loop. Because true velocity isn't just about the speed of writing code, it's really about the speed of learning. Fast shipping teams absolutely do not wait until the end of the quarter to see if they've hit their goals. They implement a weekly pulse check. And that leads to the ultimate safety valve, the kill switch. If a key result hasn't budged within 3 to 4 weeks, it is a glaring red flag that the strategy is flawed. Instead of falling victim to the sunk cost fallacy, where teams pour months of effort into a failing project just because, hey, it was on the roadmap, successful teams use the kill switch to pivot or shut the project down immediately. No hesitation. The crucial point here is summarized beautifully by this insight from Marty Kagan. Effective OKRs focus on the customer problem. By keeping the feedback loop super tight with these weekly pulse checks, teams fail fast, they learn instantly, and they can completely reallocate their precious resources to work that actually impacts the bottom line. It's a total game changer. And finally, Section 5, From Output to Impact. Let's wrap this all up with a concrete execution playbook to bridge that massive gap between strategy and execution. The stark difference between traditional teams and best-in-class teams really comes down to focus. Traditional teams obsess over feature delivery, that's output. Best-in-class teams, they focus on customer behavior, that's outcome. Traditional teams rely on rigid, top-down mandates, while elite teams totally thrive on autonomy within constraints. We see the review cadence shift from a lagging end-of-quarter check-in to a hyper-proactive weekly pulse check. And when failure happens, because it always does, traditional teams double down due to the sunk cost fallacy, while elite teams pivot immediately. The end result? Traditional teams move slow due to feature bloat, while best-in-class teams move incredibly fast with laser focus. To transition your team into that best-in-class column, the source material gives us this really clear 4-step loop. Step 1, define the outcome. You have to state a crystal clear business goal. Step 2, define the constraints. Explicitly acknowledge your limited time and resources right up front. Step 3, discovery. Validate your assumptions using rapid user feedback before you write any high-fidelity production code. And step 4, ship and measure. Launch the absolute smallest possible increment, measure its actual effect on your key results, and then make the tough call to either pivot or persevere. When teams run this loop, OKRs stop being a spreadsheet and become a shared, living language, completely freeing up your time for actual execution. I want to leave you with this final, provocative thought to take straight back to your team. Start your very next planning cycle by asking this exact question. What is one thing we will stop doing immediately? Seriously, stop managing tasks. Prune your backlog with the exact same rigor you apply to your roadmap. Establish those boundaries, fiercely protect your team's capacity, and obsess over your learning loop. Once you stop treating OKRs as an administrative chore and start treating them as a true strategic constraint, you'll finally stop just managing tasks and you will start shipping real outcomes. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you on the next one.